Now, the humanitarian situation in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region seems to be deteriorating, and that's the warning from the United Nations Refugee Agency, the UNHCR. The UN's humanitarian agency says that over 1 million people are currently in need of urgent assistance in the Tigray region. Well, to tell us a little bit more about the situation on the ground, I'm now joined by Professor Mammo Muchie, who is somebody who watches the region very closely and will share his thoughts with us about what's playing out there. Prof, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much again for always focusing on this big challenge that Ethiopia is at the moment.
All right, so the UNHCR very concerned about a growing humanitarian crisis in the northern part of Ethiopia, in the Tigray region. What do you know about what's going on in terms of the humanitarian crisis?
You know there was a war. When there is war, definitely a lot of people get affected. And there is no doubt about that. That you have heard many migrated to Sudan. Over 40,000 or something is what was recorded. And also people, something like over 4.5 million of the people there were also affected by this war situation. I mean, total disruption. So that's what they said. And what we heard is that the government in Ethiopia says they are actually covering something like 70% of the humanitarian assistance from their side. They are expecting something like 30% from the rest of the world. And they are not saying that there is they acknowledge that there is a crisis, but they said that they would be very happy to do it, to get involved, at the same time also to allow others who would like to support do humanitarian assistance to join them. That's what we hear from the government side. The problem is, although the conflict is said to have ended in terms of the victory by the Federal Army against the TPLF, what we heard also is that there are groups, various groups, like 8 or 9 groups in different parts of the Tigray area that still continue armed activity. If they are doing that, you see, who will be affected most? Trust me, is ordinary people who have nothing to do with this conflict. So what we are having is, unless the conflict situation is controlled completely, and there's some kind of arrangement where a peaceful situation, where the dialogue, a political dialogue culture replaces the conflict culture, the war culture there, then I think we'll always have huge humanitarian crisis, not just in Tigray, but in the rest of Ethiopia. I think I must tell you also, there's lots of people suffering in the area, what are called the Amhara people. I mean, seriously, there was I read a report which simply says that things that have not happened in Rwanda, things that have not been seen in the Holocaust, and the way people have been killed, have been done in a place called Metekel, which is an area where the people who are called Amharas have been targeted. They say that almost every day, over 10 people every day have been continually dying, being killed, who are called Amharas. And that's why there has been a big protest here in South Africa, at the UNHRC here. In fact, the lady was there. They read an appeal saying that this kind of atrocity must be stopped. And then again, they also protested at the Ethiopian embassy. And these are people here in South Africa who say that they cannot continue to allow this kind of thing going on in Ethiopia. So we had actually a protest about 2 days ago.
All right. So do you think Addis Ababa has softened its stance? Because for a long time, they were blamed for making it difficult for humanitarian assistance to get to Tigray. and they were denying the presence of Eritrean troops and also their own complicitness in some of the abuses that were taking place in the region. But they've started to admit some of these things and also ordered the Eritrean troops to leave the region. Is this going to help, do you think, to ease the plight of people affected in the region?
I think what happened was when the war was taking place in November, starting on November 4, of course, what they did was they blocked everything. Internet, many things like that were blocked. So communications have to be stopped. And then when the war, they say the defeat of the TPLF army was done, after that they start opening. They have started now opening telecommunication, mobile phones. I mean, many of the activities, we're told, are open. Now, the key question you're asking me is the government is saying they are doing that, but what we need now, really genuinely, in that area completely, is real evidence, really forensic evidence that shows what has actually taken place should be done. And this should be an independent investigation where the government of Ethiopia accepts it, the international organizations accept it, rather than interfering, saying one is right and one is wrong. Before we make judgments like that, it might be very good exactly to know what was happening. So many things have been said. Women being raped, many things like that. Very young people being killed, children murdered, mothers, many things like that have been said. So exactly who did it? How was it done? Which army did it? For example, stories have been done where they say that the TPLF cadres have actually manufactured outfits like that the soldiers of Eritrea wear, and they make them pretend as if they are Eritreans, when in actual fact they are not. Some people like that have been saying. So exactly, and then when you hear from the Eritrean side, they say the army has left. The government says that.
Yes, but Prof, there is quite enough evidence already about these extrajudicial killings. A CNN report came out not so long ago, which showed not even Eritrean forces, but Ethiopian soldiers involved in some of these activities, wearing Ethiopian camouflage. And Ethiopia, Addis Ababa itself has admitted that some of its troops have gone above and beyond what is normal in a conflict situation. So I think it's fair to say that enough blame can be assigned to various parties. But the people on the ground now, if you can imagine, if you've witnessed extrajudicial killings, you will feel unsafe and you will flee into Sudan and to neighboring states. And this is what's caused this humanitarian crisis, isn't it?
I think, you know what I heard also from both the government of Eritrea, and in fact the lady who is the ambassador in the United States, she actually produced a document where they all said that any illegal, any of the any murder the army of Eritrea did, they will take it seriously. That's what they say. The same thing also, the Ethiopian government also says, even their own army, which committed crime, they will also take it seriously. That they said those statements. Doing it, actually, as you rightly put it, we need to know exactly how it's done, how they investigated it, and if the people who are found to have done the crime, what justice is done in terms of how are they treated? In other words, what kind of
Professor Muchie,
measures are taken?
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, so we're going to have to leave it there. But always greatly appreciated your thoughts and your insights. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.